Hey everyone, French Tutor here. Welcome to my guide for Cartethyia, a 5-star Aero main DPS who utilizes Aero Erosion damage and deals a lot of damage in general, applies Aero Erosion, and supports and increases the damage of your party members who attack targets affected by negative statuses. Let's go over her kit, how to optimize her, some advanced tech, useful animation cancels, her rotations, her builds, teams, sequence nodes, and much more. Feel free to use the timestamps as there are a lot of useful advanced tech and rotations. Alright, let's get started. Before we begin, it will be good to know what the combat rules are for Cartethyia. The two main things she needs to do is to provide buffs for Fleurdelys in her liberation mode, and to apply stacks of Aero Erosion so that she can do more damage overall. Okay, let's look at her basic kit. Her basic attack sequence is a 4-hit combo. The first 2 hits are just 2 basic hits like these. So again, that's 1, 2. Basic attack 3 is kind of special. She kind of moves from left to right between 2 force fields. It looks like this. Basic attack 4 is kind of similar to basic attack 3, except the force field comes vertically down like this. It's going to apply 1 stack of Aero Erosion, and it's going to summon this type of sword. So these swords are what's going to provide buffs for you later in your liberation mode. So we need to summon all these swords. There's 3 in total, and we can call this sword number 2. And there's going to be 3 in total. Note that the basic attack 4 animation can be cancelled out pretty easily, so then later we'll show you some advanced tricks. The same goes for basic attack 3, but not as useful. Basic attack 3 has some crowd control capabilities. It's able to move like smaller enemies left and right like this. And basic attack 4 will apply vertical pressure down on smaller enemies. Note that basic attack 4 has a certain amount of range, so it could kind of like reach enemies further away. So it's very important to get to basic attack 4 faster in order to summon the sword buff and to apply Aero Erosion. So you could switch in to skip to basic attack 2. After your intro skill, you can skip to basic attack 2. And finally, for your dodge counter, you can skip to basic attack 3. Her normal heavy attack casts a small sphere of energy and then summons sword number 1. And this is considered basic attack damage. It can also pull in smaller enemies together. Her heavy attack can also be cast in midair. Her intro skill also summons sword number 1 after using a similar looking attack except with 3 spheres of energy. Her intro applies 2 stacks of Aero Erosion. For her resonance skill, she summons multiple swords to attack. She also then summons sword number 3. This also applies 2 stacks of Aero Erosion, and this is considered basic attack damage. Note that her resonance skill conveniently puts her up in the air, so it's the perfect follow-up for a mid-air attack here. Once you summon all the swords, use your mid-air attack to recall them, and that's when you get all your buffs. This enhanced mid-air attack is considered Aero Erosion damage. Note her enhanced mid-air attack has a lot of range. Your enhanced mid-air attack is different based on how many swords you have on field. The less swords you have, the less damage you will do. Just some extra details. Also, if you look at your Forte gauge, after you use your enhanced mid-air attack, they're going to start glowing, and that means you're ready to buff your liberation mode. Once you have all 3 swords on the field, her crown, her bracelets, and her anklet is going to start glowing yellow. But once you recall all 3 swords, she's going to stay in this state. Okay, so let's look at Cartethyia's rotations. So her standard rotation with her intro skill is going to start with her intro skill, and then that's going to skip to basic attack 2, 3, and then 4 to resonance skill to our enhanced mid-air attack. The advanced trick here during her basic attack 4 is that we want to cancel out this animation by using her resonance skill. So let's look closely here. As she raises her arms upwards like this, and this portal opens up like here, right? You can smoothly just cancel this animation with your resonance skill like this. Okay, just like that. Okay, let's go in full speed and just pay attention to that basic attack 4 trick. Intro, 2, 3, 4 cancel, and then resonance skill, and then mid-air attack. I want to show you 2 more rotations when Cartethyia does not have her intro skill. Okay, now here is a more advanced rotation. Okay, so we're gonna go from basic attack 1, 2, 3, 4, resonance skill cancel, mid-air attack, and then air dash cancel, and then mid-air attack. Okay, this is similar to our intro skill rotation. We're gonna use basic attack 4 and then cancel that animation with our resonance skill, right? And then you can actually kind of cancel this resonance skill animation out a little bit with our heavy attack right afterwards. It feels very smooth actually. And since we can use mid-air attack in the air, we follow up with that. But there is a slight delay with this heavy attack. It takes a while to use your mid-air attack right after. So why don't we cancel that animation with a air dash cancel and then use our mid-air attack like that. So that makes the fastest rotation possible when you don't have your intro skill. Just note, you have to wait for the heavy attack to come out just a little bit and then you can cancel it out. If you do it right away, the heavy attack won't come out. Okay, now in full speed, it looks like this. 3, 4, resonant skill, heavy attack, and then boom, very smooth, very nice, very fast. So this is a very basic and safe rotation. It's a little different from your usual way, but I think this is a comfortable way to do this. And this is just very useful during your full rotations, and I'll show you later. So we're gonna go basic attack 1, 2, 3, and then 4, heavy attack, and then resonant skill to mid-air attack. Okay, and again for basic attack 4, you can cancel this animation out with your heavy attack. Like this, I do it a little bit slowly, but that's how you cancel it. And honestly, there is a little bit of delay between your heavy attack and your resonant skill, I'm gonna be honest with you. So you do have the option of dash canceling or jump canceling that heavy attack, but I don't recommend it. Just do it this way to make a basic rotation. Okay, here's this rotation in full speed. Just like that. 4, cancel out, heavy attack, resonant skill, mid-air attack. Her Resonance Liberation has 2 parts. For the first part, Cartethyia transforms into Fleurdelys. This reduces her HP to 50% of her max HP, enhances all her attacks, unlocking new moves, and unlocking a new Forte gauge. She enters the manifest state, which lasts for 12 seconds. So during this state, her sword buffs are active, and she has the ability to switch back into Cartethyia. This can be cast in mid-air, and if her HP is below 50%, her HP is not reduced. Okay, let's look at her full moveset. Basic attack 1 is a standard horizontal slash like this. Basic attack 2, she kind of turns around and stabs this way. And then this is a multi-hit move. Basic attack 3, she kind of pivots backwards like this. And then she casts something in front of her and explodes. Basic attack 4 looks a little tricky. She's going to start raising her arms. And then she opens a bunch of force fields to attack enemies like this, okay? So you can see the force fields here and then things that are attacking the enemies. For basic attack 5, she's going to come down, she's going to strike down. And then a sword will come striking down vertically. And then this is a 2-hit attack. So finally, there's a second hit that kind of explodes at the end. Okay, here's the full grounded basic attack sequence. A little bit slow though. Here you go. 2, 3, 4, and then finally 5. Now let's talk about her mid-air combo. So now your jump button is replaced with a move called uppercut. If you press jump, you're going to use a launcher like this. So she brings enemies upwards like that. And this is followed up with a 3-hit mid-air combo. Mid-air attack 1, she's going to like slice and flip around a lot, so it's going to look like this. Okay, so that's 1. For mid-air attack 2, she's going to do some big cross slashes like this. 1, 2. And then she's going to dive down for mid-air attack 3 like this. Okay, so that's your full mid-air attack sequence. Okay, here it is again, a little bit slowly. Here's her launcher, mid-air attack 1, 2, and then 3 diving down. Note that after mid-air attack 3, she's going to follow up with basic attack 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go down, then 3, 4, and then 5. Note that if you ever need to come down mid-air, just hold down your basic attack button and then come down like this. And that's essentially mid-air attack 3. Her heavy attack has 2 parts. The first part, she's going to lunge towards her enemies like this. Part 2, she's actually going to jump back and shoot an energy arrow like this. Note that the follow-up attack is upward cut. So we go to upward cut and then mid-air attack 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, let's put all her normal attacks together. We're gonna go heavy attack 1, 2, upward cut, mid-air attack 1, 2, 3, basic attack 3, 4, and then finally 5. Her resonance skill has 2 parts. For part 1, she floats up and summons a giant force field like this. For part 2, she's going to come crashing down and summon a giant force field as well. Note the follow-up attack for resonance skill part 2 is basic attack 3. And her dodge counter is basic attack 3. And Fleurdelys' intro is basically a heavy attack. All of Fleurdelys' attacks fill up her Forte gauge. These points are called conviction. And once you have a full Forte gauge, you can press your Resonance Liberation again for part 2, and then she casts a powerful ultimate attack that hits in a straight line. Note that once you hit with this ultimate move, all stacks of Aero Erosion is removed from the targets. Each stack removed amplifies the damage taken by the targets by 20%, and this stacks up to 5 times. Liberation Part 2 also restores 50% of your max HP. It can also be cast in midair. When your Forte gauge is not full and you press your Liberation, Fleurdelys will transform back into Cartethyia. Once switching, you pause the timer for Manifest. Note that transforming back to Cartethyia is considered switching in, so you're going to skip to Basic Attack 2. And then you can transform back into Fleurdelys if you are still in the Manifest state, which is the initial 12 seconds of your first part of your Liberation. Switching in between forms do not consume resonance energy. Also do note that if you transfer back from either Cartethyia or to Fleurdelys in midair, you're going to start doing midair attacks. Before we begin her rotations, there are a few more details of what her Liberation mode does and some of her other Forte that affects your rotations you need to know. Plus, we have to talk all about her sword buffs. I think first this is a good time to talk about her second inherent skill. Targets with 1 to 3 stacks of Aero Erosion takes 30% more damage from Cartethyia and Fleurdelys. So it could be 1, 2, or 3 stacks here, but you get 30% more damage. So it's important to have these Aero Erosion stacks. Now, targets with more than 3 stacks additionally take 10% more damage. So as you may already know, 3 stacks is the max amount of Aero Erosion you can have, but Aero Rover's outro skill will let you get 3 more stacks, and that's a max of 6. So all those additional stacks will be 10% per stack. So you can have 30% more additional damage, a total of 60% more damage. So it's important to have the maximum amount of Aero Erosion you can, whether or not you have Aero Rover. So this is going to affect your rotations. The next thing you need to know is as Fleurdelys, Basic Attack 5, Midair Attack 2, and Resonance Skill Part 2 triggers an instance of Aero Erosion damage, so the damage over time effect. But most importantly, it's going to reduce the Aero Erosion stack by 1. So that means your Aero Erosions get reduced by these 3 attacks. And honestly, that's not a good thing. That's why Ciaccona is your best in slot teammate, because they're going to keep refilling these lost Aero Erosion stacks. So this is something we have to figure a way out of what to do, right? And I'll show you in the rotation section. Okay, now this is a good segue into her sword buffs. First, let's talk about sword number 1's buff. This is from your heavy attack and your intro skill. So since we talked about all of these attacks, we can just talk about these now again. When you use Basic Attack 5, Midair Attack 2, Heavy Attack Part 2, and Resonance Skill Part 2, if there's a group of enemies, and let's say the Aero Erosion stacks are uneven, some targets have more, some targets have less. Basically, whatever the highest number of Aero Erosion stacks are on an enemy, all the other enemies around it will get to that highest number of stacks. Okay, let me show you a quick example here. You can see that one wolf has 3 stacks of Aero Erosion, and the other one here is 2. I'm gonna use my Resonance Skill Part 2. So what happens then is 1 Aero Erosion stack should be taken out from them, just because of how her liberation works. So we'll have 2 and then 1 stack of Aero Erosion on each wolf. But with this buff, the 1 stack of Aero Erosion should turn into 2. So both wolves should have 2 stacks of Aero Erosion. Okay, let's try hitting them both with Resonance Skill 2. Okay, we hit them, and then now we can see they both have 2 stacks of Aero Erosion. So that's how that buff works. And now for sword number 2's buff, that's your Basic Attack 4 sword. Aero Erosion damage is amplified by 50%, and the damage interval is decreased by 50% for enemies within a certain distance from Fleurdelys. Let's look at sword number 3's buff. This is the sword from your Resonance skill. So Fleurdelys' Basic Attack 4 will generate a force field to stagnate, which is like to slow down and stop targets within its range. So that's really helpful since Basic Attack 4 takes a long time to do. So that's pretty good. And then her resistance to interruption increases, which is great as well. So yeah, these are all the sword buffs that you get. So that's why it's super important to get and summon all those swords and then recall them. These sword buffs end when the manifest state ends. And if you want to know if you correctly summoned and recalled all the swords, you can check in her liberation mode. You can see the 3 swords on the left here. Once manifest starts running out, you'll see your Forte gauge blinking. Inherent skill number 1 also affects the rotations. Well, first, healing is increased by 20% other than Cartethyia and Fleurdelys, and resistance to interruption is also enhanced. But what affects the rotations is for Aero Rover, now they're going to get 25 wind strings, which is part of their Forte circuit, when they use their liberation. So before, Aero Rover had some awkward rotations where they would have to do a mid-air attack into like basic attack 4 to gain Forte, but now you get a little bit extra from using their liberation. So now their rotations are updated. There are better ways to do their rotations now. So I'll show you in the rotation section. Okay, so the first thing we should learn is the fastest way to build up Conviction, her Forte, in order to use Resonance Liberation Part 2. But it has a little less damage. So this is a good foundation to learn first, and then you can customize your rotations based on your needs. And I do want to mention this is best with Ciaccona. So let's break this down a bit. Okay, so first we're going to use our resonance skill. Okay, so what that does actually, for smaller enemies, that gathers enemies together, so it's definitely worth it to do that first. That puts you in midair so that you can do midair attack 1, 2, 3, right here, now 3, and then after midair attack 3, we follow up to basic attack 3, and then we go to 4, and then, okay, for basic attack 5, we can cancel out this animation, right? So we're gonna some sword is gonna come striking down, right? So once this sword is down, or even before that, right, a little bit before that, we can use our resonance skill to cancel it. Don't do it too fast, or you might cancel out the basic attack 5 animation, but you want to follow instantly up with resonance skill. So it's gonna look like this. So you see that I jump immediately up, basic attack 5 is still happening, so you'll see a sword coming striking down, another sword, and then you can see that resonance skill 2 part 2 happened. Okay, and I'm already clicking here. I'm gonna smoothly transition into my basic attack 3, and it's very smooth. It's gonna look like this, boom, and then you saw that, like, I didn't even fully finish my basic attack 3, but I had enough Forte gauge to use her liberation 2, like that. Okay, let's look at that in normal speed. So we're gonna go resonance skill 1, mid attack 1, 2, 3, basic attack 3, 4, 5, cancel with resonance skill part 2, and basic attack 3, and then boom, our Forte was full to do this. The second fastest and does more damage is the same rotation, except we're going to add a basic attack 4 at the end. But it's not the full basic attack 4, it's just a little bit of it, and because we're just waiting. So basically with Ciaccona, we're waiting for another tick of her liberation to apply Aero Erosion, because some of Fleurdelys' attacks, as mentioned before, will reduce Aero Erosion stacks, so we need to wait for Ciaccona to reapply them. So let's take a look at this right here. We know that Fleurdelys' basic attack 5 and resonance skill part 2 is going to get rid of our Aero Erosion stacks, right? And then Ciaccona is going to apply one more tick here, okay? But my resonance skill 2 just hit, so this is going to change back to 5, okay? So now our Forte gauge is almost full, right? So we're going to do the same basic attack 3. Okay, now we're full here, right? But if I use my resonance liberation here at 5 stacks, it's going to do less damage, right? So we're gonna just use our basic attack 4, right? So you see here that I already, I did only a little bit of my basic attack 4. Now I can just use my liberation comfortably. So now I can just use it right now, just like that. So it's ultimately up to you. Do you want to do your rotations a bit faster, or do you want to do the maximum damage output? So you see here I did more damage from last time. I want you to see how smooth this rotation is. Let's start from the last mid-air attack 3. So let's take a look here, right? So we're gonna go do this and then combine basic attack 5 and resonance part 2, 3, and then during 4, you see how I just did it just for a little bit, and then I could just do this right away and do more damage. Okay, now there are times where we want to switch back into Cartethyia, especially if we don't have Ciaccona. we want to apply Aero Erosion with her. So I think this is the best kind of rotation we can do for her. So essentially it's going to be the same, except we're going to take out that basic attack 3 at the end here with Fleurdelys. This rotation is also really good in a Ciaccona team when you want to just finish off an enemy. So let's take a look real quick. Just do normal speed for the beginning rotation, which is the same, right? Okay, but starting from here, we are using basic attack 5 to resonance skill part 2. Okay, so for here, one thing to note that you do not want to switch in too early to Cartethyia. Let resonance skill 2 hit first, and then we're going to switch in here. Now Cartethyia skips to basic attack 2, and then she's gonna go to 3, and then 4, and then we're gonna cancel out this animation with a heavy attack. The reason why we're doing heavy attack is because your resonance skill is still on cooldown. So I realized it's just better to do something here, and heavy attack does a good amount of damage here. It's just as good as like attack with Fleurdelys actually. You see, that does a lot of damage. After that's up, your resonance skill should be up. So we use resonance skill, and then we're gonna do a mid-air attack. And check this out, like if this all crits 3 hits, right? It's like 62k per hit with Ciaccona's Aero Erosion buff. So all of this is kind of worth doing. Okay, and then we're going to switch into Fleurdelys, and we're going to skip to basic attack 2, and it's a great multi-hit move because we have just a little bit of Forte gauge left we need to fill up, right? And our resonance liberation bar right here, you can see it's almost up to. So we're going to just do that slowly. So let me just show you slowly, right? So we're going to do that attack, and it's going to fill up slowly. You see that? And then once now our resonance liberation part 2 is up, then we use it right away like that. Okay, let's watch that in full speed again, except we'll start from mid-air attack 3, we dive down, 3, 4, 5, resonance skill part 2, and then we switch in, right, 2, 3, 4, heavy attack, resonance skill, mid-air attack, and basic attack 2, and then resonance liberation part 2, just like that. So this is my way of doing the Fleurdelys into Cartethyia combo and sequence. I think the heavy attack and the mid-air attack is a nice touch, extra damage. And you can see that, like, we're almost done with this boss at level 100. Of course, there's tower buffs, and I have a good, well-built team. We are at S0 and R1. So yeah, try your rotations this way. If you don't want to do such a long rotation, here's a little shorter rotation for you. Okay, so from Fleurdelys, we're going to switch back into Cartethyia. And then we're going to do basic attack 2 to 3 to 4. And then resonance skill. And then let's switch back into Fleurdelys. And that's going to start her mid-air attack 1. And it just needs to hit like a few hits. So you can instantly do liberation part 2. So it's going to look like this. We're going to go to basic attack 4. Resonance skill. And then we switch. And then you can see there we went to mid-air attack 1 right away. Okay, just real quick at normal speed. Switch in. Basic attack 4, resonance skill, switch, mid-air attack 1, and then liberation part 2. Now I want to show you an advanced tech where you can use one of Fleurdelys' moves and not have their attack reduce a stack of Aero Erosion. So it's a pretty cool trick where you end up doing more damage. Okay, so if you see her Forte description here, you can see that her resonance skill part 2 reduces 1 stack of Aero Erosion and triggers Aero Erosion damage. So as a quick demonstration, I have 3 stacks of Aero Erosion right now. So I'm going to use my second part of my resonance skill. So you see that, boom. And then you can see here, I lost 1 stack. 3 instances of damage and some Aero Erosion damage as well. But there's a trick where we don't have to let this happen and you'll still have 3 stacks of Aero Erosion. And this trick is amazing for Sanhua teams. So in order for this tech to work, I actually need to switch back into Cartethyia. So we have our 3 stacks. We're going to use resonance skill part 2. And boom. We still have the 3 instances of damage, the same amount of damage, minus the Aero Erosion damage, because we still have 3 stacks. And now if I do my basic attack 4 and my resonance skill, I'll have 6 max stacks. So now you can do more damage. So let's go a little bit slower to see what the timing is like. So what we need to do here is we're going to slam down with our resonance skill, right? Part 2. Now the trick is to actually look at Fleurdelys. there's an animation where she kind of raises up her arm. We don't want that animation to happen actually. We have to switch before she moves up her arm up actually. So in the example where she is reducing the Aero Erosion stack, her animation looks like this, right? So you see that? She brings her arm up and she's doing this full pose at the end. So if we want to keep that Aero Erosion stack, let's switch in right before she raises her arm. If you liked the video so far, please make sure to like and subscribe. It will really help me out as a smaller content creator. Thank you. Okay, now for an advanced tip. I want to show you how you can start with 6 stacks of Aero Erosion before using your Liberation without Ciaccona. When we do a basic Cartethyia rotation, usually we're going to end up with only 5 stacks of Aero Erosion. And if you're using Aero Rover, you're missing out on damage. You want at least 1 more stack of Aero Erosion. Okay, so there is a moderate solution here. The easiest thing you can do is just use your resonance skill. So I'm just going to use my resonance skill in the beginning of my rotations, and I start off with 2 stacks of Aero Erosion. That seems simple enough, but actually your rotations have to be pretty fast. And the easiest teammate you can do it with is actually with Sanhua, because her rotations are so fast. Okay, I'm not asking for like a super fast, like heavy quick swap rotation like this, but you have to be relatively fast. Okay, so after doing a relatively basic rotation with Aero Rover and Sanhua here, you can see my 2 stacks of Aero Erosions are about to run out actually, right? So now before this can go away, yes, I would rather you have a little bit of time on these Aero stacks, and then you want to go in, and now, even though this is fading, we use intro skill. Now we have 4 stacks. Now basic attack 4, that's gonna hit. Now we have 5 stacks, and then we use our resonance skill, and boom, we have our full 6 stacks here. And then you're ready to transform into Fleurdelys and do a lot more extra damage. Okay, now for team rotations. Let's start off with 2 basic rotations. For the first team, let's use Ciaccona and Aero Rover. And as we explain this rotation, I want to show you that Aero Rover's rotations are a little bit changed now, thanks to Cartethyia. Alright, so first, let's switch into Aero Rover. That's going to skip to basic attack 2, 3. Let's hold down here so that we can use our enhanced heavy attack as a launcher. So we're going to use our enhanced mid attack 1, 2, and then let's use our liberation right here. We're on the floor. Now we can use our resonance skill and then enhance mid attack 1, 2, plunge, and then we can use our enhanced resonance skill right here, and then our echo. Let's switch to Ciaccona. Intro, basic attack 4, and then let's cancel this with resonance skill. And then let's skip to basic attack 2 here, 2, 3, 4. And then let's do our enhanced heavy attack dash cancel. Let's hold heavy attack and dash together to cancel out the animation. And then if you're using the Fleurdelys echo, use your echo here, and then use your liberation right here. Let's go in Cartethyia. Let's do basic attack 2, 3, 4, and then let's cancel that with our resonance skill. Let's use our mid attack, and then let's use our echo right here, and then let's use our liberation. Let's start with resonance part 1, mid attack 1, 2, 3, go down, basic attack 3, 4, 5. Let's cancel this animation with our resonance skill part 2, and then boom, and then let's go to basic attack 3, and then right now we have 5 arrow stacks. Let's wait by using just basic attack 4. Okay, once that's 6 right here, let's use resonance liberation part 2 like that, and that's the full rotation. I do want to note that for the second rotation with Aero Rover, their intro is going to bring them up. So you're going to use your launcher here with intro, and then you could use enhanced mid attack 1, 2 right here already. So there's no need to do your, switch into basic attack 2 to 3 to enhance heavy attack. So it makes your rotations much easier like this. Okay, and let's watch that in full speed. We're going to switch in, and then we're going to set up, use our enhanced mid attacks. Resonance liberation, cancel that so we don't have to plunge down, right? Resonance skill, then come down, enhance resonance skill, boom, echo, intro, and then we're gonna skip to resonance skill, basic attack 2, and then use our enhanced heavy attack and liberation. Switch in, and then do the usual bread and butter Cartethyia rotation. Switch in, and then use our resonance skill here, and then we start off in midair, right? And we're going to go down, Go. Let's cancel basic attack 5 with resonance skill 2. And then wait a little bit, and then our liberation. And that gets us our full stacks and the maximum amount of damage right there. Okay, now basic Sanhua rotation. Let's switch in again to Rover. Basic attack 2, 3, enhanced heavy attack. And then let's use our enhanced mid-air attack 1, 2. And then let's use our liberation right here. Resonance skill, enhanced mid-air attack 1, 2, plunge, enhanced resonance skill, and then our echo. And then let's switch to Sanhua here. And then let's skip to basic attack 3, 4, 5. This will activate some buffs, especially the crit rate buff. So 3, 4, 5. And this will ensure that we'll have enough considerable energy. Use our liberation here. And then let's use our enhanced heavy attack right here to detonate. And then while we use that, and then let's use our resonance skill here. The first part of enhanced heavy attack is going to detonate everything. So we're going to detonate right here and then use our echo skill right away. And then we should have full concerto while everything shatters. And you can see here, you can just switch in right now to Cartethyia. Intro, basic attack 2, 3, 4, resonance skill cancel. And then use our mid-air attack, echo right here. And then let's switch to Fleurdelys. And then again, resonance skill part 1, mid-air attack 1, 2, 3, basic attack 3, 4, 5, and then cancel that with resonance skill 2. And then let's switch into Cartethyia here. Let's go basic attack 2, 3, 4. Let's use our heavy attack, and then this resonance skill should be up. Use our resonance skill, mid-air attack again. Let's switch to Fleurdelys, and then we're gonna skip to basic attack 2 here. And that'll have enough to get our full Forte gauge. And we have 6 stacks of Aero Erosion, which is perfect. Let's use Resonance Liberation Part 2. And that's how it's done with the Sanhua rotation. Okay, let's watch this in full speed. We're going to switch in and start setting up. Mid-air attack, enhanced mid-air attack 1, 2. Resonance Liberation, come down faster. And then again, we're going to go down, hit, enhanced resonance skill. Then we're gonna go basic 3, 4, 5, and then cancel with our liberation, and then enhance heavy attack, and then Carthethia's bread and butter rotation right here. Switch in, and then again, just pretty much the advanced rotation we talked about before. Cancel basic attack 5, boom, resonance skill part 2, and then we're gonna switch into Cartethyia. That's the important part right here, right? Heavy attack. And then resonance skill, get the maximum amount of stacks, and then use resonance liberation, part 2. Okay, let's do a little more advanced rotation with Sanhua and Aero Rover. Let's start with Cartethia's resonance skill, and then you have to quick swap right away so that Sanhua could be grounded. We'll use her resonance skill and then enhance heavy attack, and then let's swap out here. Use Aero Rover's double heavy attack to go up for the launcher, and then let's go mid-air attack 1, 2, and then use our resonance liberation. On the floor here, let's use resonance skill, and then mid-air attack 1, 2. Let's use mid-air attack to go down, and then use our enhanced resonance skill, and then echo skill. Let's switch to Sanhua, use our liberation right away, and use enhanced heavy attack, and then echo, and then that's the rotation. And for Cartethyia and Fleurdelys, you just use the bread and butter I just showed you. Let's take a look in full speed. We're going to use double resonance skill here, swap out, and then Rover, double heavy attack, mid-air attack 1, 2, and then liberation. Let's use resonance skill here, and then mid-air attack 1, 2, mid-air attack, enhanced resonance skill, echo, Sanhua, liberation, and then enhance heavy attack to echo, and then your bread and butter Cartethyia and Fleurdelys rotations. Okay, now let's do an advanced rotation with Ciaccona and Aero Rover. Let's start off with Cartethia's resonance skill, and then let's switch into Ciaccona, use mid-air attack 2, skip to basic attack 4, and then use our resonance skill. And then let's cancel this with our Kelpie Echo here. This is optional, but you do get some extra damage here. Let's switch into Rover. Let's use our heavy attack twice here to use as a launcher. So regular heavy attack, and then enhanced heavy attack right here. And that's gonna bring us up. Use our enhanced mid-air attack 1, 2, liberation. We're gonna come down here. Now our resonance skill, we didn't use it yet, so it's off cooldown. Resonance skill 1, 2, plunge, and then enhance resonance skill to our echo. Switch into Ciaccona intro, basic attack 4, and then enhance heavy attack dash cancel, and then use our liberation to cancel that out. and then we switch into Cartethyia, and then we're gonna do her bread and butter rotations. Okay, let's look at that in full speed. Use our resonant skill, switch, and then Kelpie, and then we're gonna use our launcher, resonance liberation, use resonant skill again, 1, 2, plunge down. And then for Ciaccona, we're gonna go in, intro, enhance heavy attack, dash cancel, resonance liberation, just like that. Okay, and then just Carthethia's bread and butter rotation. Okay, let's look at an advanced rotation with Ciaccona and Shorekeeper, her second best team. Start off with resonant skill, and then let's switch to Ciaccona and use basic attack 4 as we land. Shorekeeper, basic attack 1, 2, 3. Let's switch to Ciaccona, use resonant skill, and let's use Kelpie here. And now if we're in midair like this, we're going to use a midair attack with Shorekeeper right here. Full Forte, let's use our enhanced heavy attack, and then let's dash cancel that. And then let's do a full basic attack sequence right here. Let's do enhanced heavy attack, echo, resonant skill, and our liberation. Switch Ciaccona, let's go basic attack 4 after intro, and then enhance heavy attack, dash cancel, and then let's use our liberation and cancel. And then let's look at our full rotation here with Cartethyia. Intro, basic attack 2, 3, and then 4, resonant skill, midair attack, echo, and then liberation part 1. And again here, resonant skill 1, midair attack 1, 2, 3, basic attack 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then resonant skill part 2. Let's go basic attack 3 here, but as you can see, we only have 2 stacks, right? We want to get to 3, so let's wait and use basic attack 4, and now it's 3, so now let's use our liberation part 2 like that. Alright, let's watch in full speed now. Resonant skill, Ciaccona, come down, and then basic attack 1, 2, 3, Kelpie. Oh, there's too fast to commentate, yeah. Yeah, do a full basic attack sequence right here. Resonance liberation, intro Ciaccona, basic attack 4, and then enhance heavy attack, dash cancel to liberation. And then just our bread and butter Cartethyia rotations. And then we're gonna go to Fleurdelys, and then the only thing different about this part is the waiting until the 3rd stack here, right? So we're gonna go down, 3, 4, 5, and then let's wait after resonant skill 2, basic attack 4, wait, and then liberation part 2. Okay, let's look at our advanced rotation with Aero Rover and Shorekeeper. Okay, let's start with our resonant skill, and then let's use our midair attack with Shorekeeper, and then 1, 2, 3, and then let's skip to let's switch to Aero Rover, resonant skill, midair attack 1, 2, and then let's plunge down, and then let's switch to Shorekeeper here to do another midair attack, and then use our enhanced heavy attack here, and then dash cancel it, and then let's do a full basic rotation here, and then use our enhanced heavy attack, echo, resonant skill, liberation, full concerto gauge there. Switch to Rover. Now we have our crit rate buff here. That's why we want to save our liberation. So we're going to use intro, enhanced mirror attack 1, 2, liberation, and then let's use our enhanced resonant skill, and then echo at the end. Cartethyia, basic 2, 3, 4, resonant skill cancel, and then midair attack, echo, and then liberation part 1. And then let's go our resonant skill part 1, midair attack 1, 2, 3. We're gonna go down, basic attack 3, 4, 5, and then resonant skill after basic attack 5. And again, I'm gonna switch in quickly here. I'm gonna canceling out this stack, right? So we have 4 stacks here, and then we're gonna switch to Cartethyia, basic attack 4, and then heavy attack here, and then resonant skill, and then midair attack. Let's switch to Fleurdelys, basic attack 2, and then let's use our liberation with our full 6 stacks of Aero Erosion. Okay, let's watch in full speed. Resonant skill, get 2 erosion stacks, and then we're gonna switch, and then midair attack, and then full sequence with Shorekeeper, and then let's set up right here. Switch into Aero Rover right here. Intro, enhanced midair attack 1, 2, liberation. And then let's use our enhanced resonant skill, echo, switch to Cartethyia, basic attack 2, 3, 4, resonant skill, echo, liberation part 1. And then we're gonna go resonant skill 1, midair attack 1, 2, 3, and then basic attack 3, 4, 5, resonance skill 2, switch to Cartethyia, again, basic 2, 3, 4, heavy attack, and then resonance skill, mid-air attack, Fleurdelys, basic attack 2, and then liberation part 2. Okay, and we cannot forget about our rotations with Aero Rover and a negative status applier. So let's look at advanced rotation with Phoebe and Aero Rover. Alright, let's switch into Phoebe. Let's use our resonance skill, and then let's use our confession mode attack. And then we're going to switch into Aero Rover. We're going to use resonance skill, enhance mid-air attack 1, 2, plunge down with Phoebe 2, and then we can cancel this mid-air attack with our resonance liberation, but use your echo right before the liberation there. Yeah, so I just used my echo before that. Okay, and we're going to use enhanced basic attack 1, 2, 3, enhanced heavy attack, and then again another cycle of that, full concerto gauge here. Okay, let's intro in with Rover, and then enhanced mid-air attack 1, 2, and then let's use our mid-air resonance skill, which is going to convert the spectral frazzle stacks into Aero Erosion, and then we're going to cancel this with our liberation. Now let's use our enhanced resonance skill and then our echo, and then let's switch, and then we're going to do our basic Cartethyia rotation, basic 2, 3, 4, resonance skill, echo, and then liberation part 1. Now we're going to do the same rotation, resonance skill 1, mid-air attack 1, 2, 3, then we're going to go down, basic attack 3, and then 4, and then we're going to go 5, and then we're going to do resonance skill 2, and then let's switch to Cartethyia here, right? And again, we're going to do the basic 2, 3, 4, apply Aero Erosion. Let's use heavy attack here, resonance skill, mid-air attack, and then switch to Fleurdelys, basic attack 2, and now we're gonna get full 6 stacks of Aero Erosion and use liberation part 2. Okay, let's look at that again. Switch to Phoebe, resonance skill, confession, and then we're gonna use Aero Rover, plunge down with Phoebe, and then cancel with liberation, and then her bread and butter right here. Let's set up, let's apply a lot of spectral frazzle here, and then let's just convert it right here, and then convert right there, cancel with liberation, enhance resonance skill here, and then let's echo, and switch to Cartethyia, and then, you know, we just do her bread and butter here, mid-air attack, and then liberation part 1, and then let's go again, resonance skill 1, mid-air attack 1, 2, 3, and then basic attack 3, 4, 5, resonance skill 2, switch to Cartethyia, let's apply Aero Erosion with basic attack 4, heavy attack, and then resonance skill, switch again, Fleurdelys basic attack 2, and then liberation part 2 again. Now let's learn about quick swapping. If this is something you want to do, here are some options. First is basic attack 4, since the animation takes long. Next, you can quick swap out of resonance skill, which also has a long animation. Mid-air attack 3 is also a good choice, since it's in mid-air. Switching it to another resonator who does a mid-air attack would be good. And finally, resonance skill part 2 is another great choice. Also, let's just briefly talk about Aero Erosion. It's a damage over time negative status. The more stacks you have on an enemy, the more damage you will deal, especially with Cartethyia and Fleurdelys. And that's pretty much all you need to know. Now for Forte priority. Let's level our Forte circuit and resonance liberation equally, then our normal attack, our resonance skill, and finally our intro skill. Let's max out our Forte circuit and resonance liberation. For normal attack and resonance skill, you can keep them from level 8 to 10. I would level normal attack to level 10 if I'm switching from Fleurdelys to Cartethyia a lot in my rotations. For intro skill, I would keep it at 8. For her outro skill, she buffs arrow damage dealers, other than Cartethyia, against targets with negative statuses. This damage is amplified by 17.5% for 20 seconds. So this is a great support outro skill. It's good for Ciaccona and Aero Rover, and then when you have a negative status applier later on, this can buff Aero Rover a lot. For stat bonuses, Cartethyia gets crit rate, and also HP percent. Now let's talk about her weapons. If you don't have any 5-star options, the 3-star Guardian Sword is a great choice, and it's craftable. It has a secondary stat of HP, which she scales off of, and the resonance skill damage bonus is a nice touch too. If you can, try to upgrade to the Emerald of Genesis. It's useful for the crit rate and energy regen. Unfortunately, the attack for the weapon skill doesn't really help that much. Her signature weapon, Defire's Thorn, is a crazy big damage boost. You get HP from her secondary stat and from the weapon skill. It ignores defense and she can do 20% more Aero Erosion damage when a target has at least one stack of Aero Erosion. Her second best weapon would be the Red Spring. It's good for the crit rate and the basic attack damage bonuses, which she scales off of. Her third best would be Blazing Brilliance. Secondary stat would be crit damage, and the Resonance skill boost is a nice touch as well. Now for her Echo build, we want to get the Windward Pilgrimage with her. 2-piece set gives 10% arrow damage bonus. For the 5-piece set, hitting a target with Aero Erosion increases crit rate by 10% and grants 30% arrow damage bonus. So this makes it the best in slot Sonata set for Cartethyia. For Cartethyia, we want to do a 4-4-1-1-1 build. The reason being is that she scales off of HP, and for the cost 1 echoes, the HP percent echoes also give a secondary stat of flat HP. If you are using her signature weapon or Blazing Brilliance, go for 1 crit rate for cost and 1 crit damage for cost. If you're using a weapon with crit rate, just use double crit damage. And the cost 1 echoes, you want HP percent. For substats, go for crit damage and crit rate, followed by HP percent, basic attack damage bonus, energy regen, and flat HP. And just as a bonus and last priority, Resonance Liberation. Now for teams. Cartethyia, Sanhua, and Aero Rover is hands down the best free-to-play team. Sanhua buffs Carthethia's basic attack damage, which she scales off of, and Aero Rover can increase Aero Erosion stacks by 3, and Aero Rover should be using the Windward Pilgrimage set, the same as Cartethyia, so they're going to be outputting damage as well, and they get increased healing from Cartethyia, so you don't need to use Rejuvenating Glow. So yeah, this is the team dynamic. Some people don't like using Aero Rover, so you can use Shorekeeper, but the Aero Rover team previously is better. I do want to briefly talk about this kind of team with Aero Rover and a negative status applier. It doesn't have to be Phoebe, but Aero Rover can convert negative statuses into Aero Erosion. So this team has potential, but unfortunately Phoebe right now does very little damage output in support mode. So right now this is not the best team, like Shorekeeper would be better than Phoebe in this case. But it's worth mentioning that in the future, that you can have this kind of team if you don't have Ciaccona. The team with the least damage output is with Alto. I don't recommend it unless you really like using Alto. As mentioned before, putting Shorekeeper and Aero Rover is pretty decent. The absolute best team right now is Cartethyia, Ciaccona, and Aero Rover. Ciaccona continuously applies Aero Erosion, which is amazing since a lot of Carthethia's moves, as Fleurdelys, gets rid of a lot of Aero Erosion stacks, so this is amazing. Also, when Cartethyia uses her outro, her team can do more damage if they have negative statuses on them, and that's where Ciaccona's Liberation will apply them. And Ciaccona also boosts Aero Erosion damage, and it makes Carthethia's mid-air attack like insanely strong. Ciaccona, we want Gusts of Welkin on her, and for Aero Rover, as mentioned before, the Windward Pilgrimage. The second best team is with Shorekeeper. I mean, Ciaccona's a limited 5-star character. She has to be Cartethia's best in slot. So if you don't like using Aero Rover, you can just use Shorekeeper. And yeah, just the damage output with Ciaccona, like you have to build her well here. With Cartethyia, the damage is still really good. Okay, now for sequence notes. I'm gonna do my best to summarize everything. For S1, you gain a buff called Zeal after you directly damage and defeat targets inflicted with Aero Erosion. So after defeating the enemies, the next move that directly damages targets raises the Aero Erosion stacks to the highest count among the targets defeated. And for part 2 of this, Fleurdelys' Conviction, which is her forte, hits 30, 60, 90, 120, so 25, 50, 75, 100%. Increases her crit damage by 25% per stack. Up to 4 stacks you can have 100% extra crit damage, which is a lot. And after you use Liberation Part 2, the crit damage is removed. Overall, this is just an amazing S1, and just gives you a lot of damage. I think S2 has a lot of value here. So just using her Liberation, you're going to increase the max limit of Aero Erosion stacks. So pretty much like you don't really need to rely on Aero Rover anymore. And the next attack that directly damages you're going to inflict 3 stacks of Aero Erosion. It's going to immediately trigger Aero Erosion damage without consuming the stacks, which is amazing. And then her damage multipliers for basic attack, heavy attack, dodge counter, and intro skill increased by 50%. And her mid-air attacks increased by 200%, which is amazing. So this would be really good with Ciaccona, since it's considered Aero Erosion damage. And then after casting mid-air attack, each sword recall will reduce the resonance skill cooldown by 1 second. And your resonance skill should be ready to go right away, when your Fleurdelys rotations are extremely quick. For S3, certain moves will now inflict 2 stacks of Aero Erosion, and most of these moves actually removed Aero Erosion stacks, so this is amazing. And for Liberation Part 2, the damage multipliers increased by 100%. This is a pretty nice sequence node as well. S4 is a support sequence node. After Resonators inflict negative statuses, all Resonators in the team gain 20% damage bonus for all attributes for 20 seconds. So this works with Ciaccona, and especially if you have a negative status applier with Aero Rover, this will work really well. For S5, Cartethyia or Fleurdelys can survive a fatal blow, so instead they'll gain a shield equal to 20% of Cartethia's max HP for 10 seconds, with a cooldown of 10 minutes. And also when you use your Liberation, you won't reduce 50% max HP anymore, it will be down to 25%. This sequence node is not bad, it's good for survivability at least. Liberation Part 2 is going to raise the Aero Erosion stacks to the max. Also now it won't remove the Aero Erosion stacks. And after casting certain moves, when any Resonator in the team inflicts Aero Erosion on the targets with max stacks, this will immediately trigger their Aero Erosion damage once. And the targets take 40% more damage from Fleurdelys. Thank you so much for watching my guide. Cartethyia has so much pull value and she's an amazing character. And I hope you get her. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. You can check out my other character guides and beginner guides on the left here. Other than that, thank you so much for watching again. Take care now.